You're not gonna help.
They were the stories that have charmed an entire generation. From the books to the television series, people around the world have grown up with the railway stories, and all their cheerful characters.
Just like Thomas the Tank Engine. Without a trace, after the events of the first documentary, we covered it up by saying he was hospitalized. That's not what really happened. The real story of Thomas the Tank Engine starts now. Man, where is that train? It should have been here hours ago. I have that Krailman coming, and I need the money just to get home. Come on. Sorry, sir. Had a bunch of other things that I needed to get to. Well, big deal. I need you to get me to Sir Topham Hatt right away. Yes, sir. Young Thomas. Well, he was very generous to the locals. Everyone knew him. When it came to anything, it went to Sodor. Traveling with people in them, from his father to his grandfather, everyone knew young Thomas. But some people did know him in a bad way. Fat Fook and his other associates didn't agree with him. Thomas's genetic DNA. He really wanted to do something about this, gain control about biology and the biofusion. But all of this other... Sorry, I didn't drink my beer this morning, and I'm trying to quit being an Beep! Sorry again. Well, as I was saying, Fat Fook and his associates didn't agree with his DNA and being an engine. He wanted to have power over everything himself. But no matter, Thomas's family wouldn't agree with it. And he never gained control of biofusion. But that's not what really happened. What really happened was that Funk paid Thomas's family a fortune of money, and he bought control over it. Killing himself, Thomas's grandfather seized control by dying, and Thomas's father went on and resigned. Weeks later, Thomas found out about his father's leaving and his grandfather's death, but his reaction was more human-like than engine-like. I really don't want to tell Thomas about his family. Oh no, here he comes. Hey, George. Oh, hi, Thomas. So you got a load for me, Carrie? Well, we do, but what? I brought some news from the station. What news? Well, see, your grandfather, he recently died. Grandfather! Oh no! I have to go to his body and his funeral! Thomas, that won't be necessary. Why? 'Cause his body, it's missing. What? Thomas's grandfather's body hasn't been seen ever again, ever since then. Everyone wondered why the body disappeared. But somehow Thomas managed to go around Sodor and look for it. I felt kind of bad for the boy, losing his grandfather to surprise and his father disappearing. It's kind of like he lost everything in a way. The poor boy was upset and didn't like talking about it. One day, after the disappearance of Thomas's grandfather's body, something scary happened. After the body was never found, there were some reports of missing engines. The trains were missing. No one knew what happened to them. Everyone just assumed that they killed themselves. But near Sodor River and Ocean, there were no bodies of trains found. No matter what. Nobody knew what happened to them trains. Many trains started to go missing on Sodor Island, and Thomas was getting suspicious about it. First grandfather, now Toby, Edward, and James. I need to go find them. If I don't, well, then there's no more biofused engines. Weeks later, Atlas Thomas went to search out for Dr. Hans Goetz and his father. There have been newspaper articles also about Thomas. Weeks later, they would claim that Thomas is being in surgeries for the documentary of the first film. But what really happened was terrifying. To tell you myself, I ain't believe that Thomas went into surgery. Personally, I think he's somewhere else on the island, kept hidden by a certain someone. Thomas wouldn't have been alive though. His body would have been still alive by his metal organs keeping him intact. But his organic material inside of him would have been rotted by now. After 5 years, the search for Thomas started, and people have already started looking for the young tank engine's body. Dr. Ruth didn't go with the group to search team. I did it, though. I wanted Thomas to have a good burying place, and I wouldn't let him get left there for nothing. I stayed here and did research on seeing if Thomas would survive or if he was already dead after 10 years. But more and more research went on, and I couldn't find any evidence of him being alive, so the search dropped. When the Thomas search ended, many people were upset, but nobody was more upset than the man himself who went to look for Thomas. I was pretty upset. I didn't want to see the lad go down and die. I didn't want to say goodbye to the lad. The poor engine went goodbye for a while in my head. It was a dark night at my shift. I was on the platform, just waiting for the next train to come. An ordinary night in the island of Sodor, waiting for the trains to come. Where is that darn train? I can't find it anywhere. Right after I said that sentence, things started to get spooky. Hello, mister. What the... No, it can't be. Hello, mister. He claimed to see Fat Funk. Saw him right in my eyes. He had that top hat and that hourglass that he never wore. For some reason he did, but yeah. He had that stupid top hat over his head, and he said it the exact same way he always did. Hello, sir. I turned around with fear in my eyes. I didn't want to look at him at all. After what he's done to me, and after everything is caused by this one person. What should I do? Call the police? I should. He's been wanted for years. I will. Fat fool? What the? All of a sudden he vanished, and I went back to my duties, and after 15 minutes I heard a puffing noise that was familiar. What in the name of... No. I was terrified out of my eyes. I didn't know what I'd seen. It couldn't have been him. I'm going crazy about it right now, in fact. The noise Mr. Hartman had seen that day was the noise of Thomas the Tank Engine. It was Thomas himself, working fine. He was alive and perfect, but when I look into his eyes, he had a different look. In fact, everything was normal about Thomas. I didn't believe my eyes. After seeing Thomas, I did what I usually did.
Good.
Hey, are you alright, Keith?
Okay, I'm done puking. Is that really you, Thomas? Yes, Mr. Hartland. After hearing that noise, I was sure of it. That was Thomas. But then he looked at me with that face. That face. It was cute at first, but then it changed. It did that for about 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden, it changed. There was blood spewing out of all of it, and it was disgusting and revolting. I couldn't look at it. It was disturbing! Then I saw the most terrifying thing after Thomas disappeared. That guy who could only say where he lived.
Where you lived? Sodor.
After that day, many people have been going around Sodor looking for evidence of where Thomas, Sir Topham Hatt, and that one guy who could only say where he lived, Sodor is. But no evidence was found. Everyone in the town thought the man was crazy. But no matter, there was evidence of it whatsoever. On the security camera, I caught all the footage of it so far. When it comes to pictures of them looking at each other, the security cameras caught them running, like Sir Topham Hatt running. Importantly, Thomas. The last photo that was found, however, was different from the rest. Instead of having Thomas, it had him pushing Thomas. When I had seen what this picture was, I was surprised myself. How did he do the voice thing? That must have been in my head, but the camera caught that too, so I don't understand it. It turns out the guy on Sodor was alive, though. But Thomas and Sir Topham Hatt have not been found yet. Then after searching for more, they found something in the woods that was kept secret from the public. The shed was Shed 89. When I started to run, he was there. Wakey, wakey. So Top of Hat, surrender now, or we won't have to attack. You think you've won? This is only the beginning. I will do this to all the engine's bodies. I have them all of them. We had all the evidence we needed, so we needed to get out of there. No, you don't. Yes, I will. Here is Sir Topham Hatt. You fat freak. At first I thought I was dead, but Dr. Ruth saved my life. Cowabunga! What? Hey, get off my freaking platform! He dropped the axe and I started to revenge Thomas. This is for Thomas, 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 this is for Thomas. I also said quite a few movie quotes as well. When I was about to kill him, something weird happened. Well, it was strange but surprising. Ah, you got... Wait, what the... Oh, God.
Okay, you're so juicy and sweet.
Thomas ran over me. Then he got up. Sorry, I wanted to make the screen black. Did I mention he was racist? Anyways, he got back up. And he got that axe. I will finish you right now. No! Thomas! I'm sorry. I would have been dead, but Dr. Ruth saved me again. Man, that is one saving son of a bitch. Come here, you stupid... Come here, you stupid... Come here. Me and Dr. Ruth... Ha, 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 ha. I will come back. Not this time. This is for Thomas. No. Get this dead freak off me! Oh, sorry. Let's get out of here. And after that day, I won't ever forget that I avenged Thomas the Tank Engine. And that is the real story of Thomas the Tank Engine.
Warning, the following video is a parody of Shed 17 by Paul's Vids. This video contains gore, strong language, and spoilers for Shed 17 if you haven't seen it yet. If you were really disturbed by Shed 17, don't like mature language, and or don't want the movie spoiled for yourself, don't watch this parody. If you don't like gore, don't watch this video. Thank you, and enjoy.
They were the stories that have charmed an entire generation. From the books to the television series, people around the world have grown up with the railway stories. and all their cheerful characters. But the truth behind Thomas and his friends was no children's fantasy. The truth would be horrifying.
It is 1945. After World War II ended, the island of Sodor emerged as surprisingly untouched and unscathed.
The island served as a detention camp for Germans living in England. That's how Professor came to be here.
Professor Wilhelm Goethe was born and raised in Germany in 1903, who became an assistant manager of the Ruin parties in 1939, the beginning of World War II. But as war escalated throughout 6 years, Professor Wilhelm was involved in too many things and things and decided to leave the country before it escalated any further.
Ja, ich habe nie einen solchen Befehl bekommen. Habt einmal gefragt, nicht wahr? Am 14. Mai 1942 war der Großadmiral Räder und ich bei ihm.
In 1938, he was influential in instigating the infamous Act, the Night of Sodor.
And after the war, before Professor Wilhelm Goethe moved to Sodor, the city was in ruins. But when Professor Wilhelm Goethe became a less popular figure in the Ruin party, he started fearing for his and his family's lives. So, before the war moved any further, they left Thames for Sodor.
As soon as he escaped to England, he was banged up here. All locals were nice to him. There was no hostility, and many of them chose to live here after the war.
But after studying his father, he left at the age of 18 and went on to study biology, writing several pioneering papers, and finally, before the opening of Sodor Research, created the theory of biofusion. In 1962, Sodor Research was open to the public, and 6 years later, after Hans Goethe was married, baby Thomas was born in 1968.
Throughout the early years of his life, he would watch the growing railway network with fascination.
Steam engines were a dying art on the British mainland, but Hans also had a fondness for them, much like his son, and likes to keep them running for our purposes.
But as the Sodor rail system expanded, it found itself increasingly under the supervision of the new British rail network and appointed a new controller.
Right, get off my f***ing platform!
Sir Topham Hatt. Born into money, he took his ridiculous name to heart and started wearing a top hat all the time.
Fat bastard. You've never met such a cold-hearted as him.
But with everyone's disappointment about the new controller, things couldn't get any worse, but sadly, they did. After another tragedy that came to a success.
Being late again. Have we missed it yet? Wait for the 11:45. Never mind the 11:45. It must be late again. Tommy, come on. It's always held up.
After the Goetz's public tragedy, this is what made the future of Sodor Research.
Started being asked on Sodor, where were the Goetzes? Would there be no funeral for young Thomas? And where was the body?
Even though there were multiple sheds on the island, there were two, rather than Shed 17, to be off limits. The second one was shed number G1.
Almost a year after the accident, the doors of Sodor Research were reopened. In an open invitation to the people of the island, Thomas rolled out of Shed 17.
After the Goetz experiment was revealed, a year later after the tragedy, people started questioning the Goetzes and Soto research about both Shed 17 and Shed G1. Aside from Shed 17, no one knew anything else about Shed G1 until the future of Soto research. Both Soto research and the Goetz family refused to answer any questions involving both Shed 17 and Shed G1, except for two questions that they decided to answer. Would Thomas work on the railway? And what was the purpose of Shed G1 in the first place? The response was an emphatic no for Thomas working on the railway. As for the second question that was asked, what was the purpose of Shed G1 in the first place? Soto research responded with this following quote: "The purpose of Shed G1 is not for the following biofusion project that will be furthermore taken notice of the future, but it is simply another maintenance shed that only government officials are allowed to keep their eye on." End quote. With the island of Soto growing and expanding over time, there had to be more work done for the island. And sadly, more people were interested in the biofusion gold mine, especially Sir Topham Hatt, which led to the very hell of Thomas and friends.
And just before you know it, that fat shit took over Soto research, but only doing a lot more damage. He changed the policy over, but surprisingly, the Goetzes didn't want to participate in that.
Even though young Thomas Goetz was strictly forbidden to work on the railway, he still played around on the branch farm under other adult supervision. But the attempt for Thomas to gain new friends around the island was short-lived after one of the very first accidents on Soto.
The first one we fired up was James. He didn't have the money some of these people had, and so agreed to basically sign his life away if they wanted to experiment further.
Oh man, this sure is heavy.
Or to take massive risks like this.
Is James near that hill yet?
Yes sir, he is. I'm seeing him going up right now.
Make sure you have the crewman record everything.
Got it, sir. Excellent. Better check to see if James is coming.
Ooh, man, this is heavy.
Alright, he is. Better get everything working.
As usual, the had everything recorded. All kept classified, you understand.
These recordings, shown for the first time, reveal the extent of Sir Topham Hatt's experiments.
Woo! Finally, I'm up.
Alright, that's good. Now just a check for him.
Alright, now that that's over with, I could turn on my brakes. Wait a minute. Why are my brakes turning on? Oh man, I have to have these turned on soon. I'm almost near the edge of the hill. Oh god, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Am I gonna die? Am I gonna die? If I don't have any brakes, then that means... Oh no. Help!
Oh no.
I thought I was just here. Help! Oh no. Oh no, James! James, are you all right? I'm fine, Thomas. I'm so sorry. I tried to catch up to you to help, but you were going so fast.
Don't blame yourself, Thomas.
Alright, I'm gonna go get help. Stay right here. You did the right thing to get help, Thomas.
Of course. I mean, it was the only thing to do just to make up from... I'm just so sorry, James. Thomas, it's fine. Even though I am a little bruised up.
Well, you better get heading back before...
Before what?
Nothing. Just leave, Thomas.
Okay.
And I guess I'm following right behind.
But with the new engine's increasing work schedule, there's more and more accidents.
Edward was next to have problems.
He'd been filming all day for the new TV series they'd announced, and for his last scene, he had to pull into Wellsworth Station and whistle to the kids on the platform.
Peep, peep! Whistled Edward. Thank you very much.
After that, there were no more further notices about that TV series. The fact was furious. That TV series was only another fucking excuse for that fat to have more money on his hands. With a big fat fucking smile on his face. And just like James, he had to be taken away. But strangely, the shed that both Edward and James went into was shed number G1.
Sadly, this was only the first in an increasing number of incidents.
Surprisingly, I haven't heard another thing about either James or Edward after they were sent to Shed G1. I never knew why, until later on.
After the violent takeover of the railway and Soto Research by Sir Topham Hatt, he took over Shed G1, and what everyone thought that what Soto Research's response to their answer was, it was a lie, but it wasn't. It was only because Sir Topham Hatt had taken over the surveillance of that shed and was responsible for what made all of the accidents of all of his experiments a secret.
Well, now there was no covering it up. The smoke could be seen all morning, but news people were here in an instant. We were told to close gates and start clearing up the mess ourselves, with some help.
After almost all the engines were gone from the island of Soto, Sir Topham Hatt had decided to speak up and to reveal his project from Shed G1.
So, one night after the regular staff had finished for the day, some of the rail staff and I
was very frightened for what that fuck had to say next, but surprisingly, I felt almost a wave of relief, because what that fuck had to show us that night were 2 new engines. But surprisingly, they weren't biofused. They were just regular old steam engines. He told everyone about what happened on the news last night. That what happened was an explosion, quote unquote, and that we were told by the news to close our gates to Sodor and to clean up the mess. I obviously knew he was lying, because of what my experience with Gordon. And what he told us was that these new engines would help clean up the mess too. But surprisingly, there was no driver fireman to operate them. But as the mess was being cleaned up, the news people decided to interview me, just to see what all the fuss was about. I can say that it went fairly well.
What did you think when you first came to meet Thomas the Tank Engine?
After the public tragedy of Sodor Island, the engines had to work very hard since there was, sadly, a minimum amount of engines left on Sodor that all had to pitch in to help repay the damage, but also with the engines of Shed G1.
Things haven't gotten better since. We don't get any passengers anymore. There's a top and hat ban on passenger service now, and for any other station that was available. So Top Hat was forcing most of the engines to work on the island now. And believe me, when I mean work, they have a shoot ton of work to do. And also those weird engine contraptions. I've been keeping an eye on them. And what's worse is that young Thomas has to work, even though he was strictly forbidden to work.
Together, the three engines, Toby, Thomas, and Henry, were all sitting ducks in a violent railway that would soon die out.
Until one night the points were set wrong. We didn't know what shed it was because they all looked the same. But I'll tell you, what Henry saw in that shed was truly devastating.
Henry had accidentally been sent to shed number G1, where all the accidents have been occurring, and soon Henry would have the key to it all.
I unlocked the doors and Henry went in. He just stayed in there for a couple of minutes. But what I can tell you, what he saw is what hell is like. As soon as he heard that loud splattering noise, he bolted out the gates and reversed.
We wouldn't even dare talk about that shed, more than our jobs would.
But Henry had decided to speak up and confront Sir Topham Hatt. That night, he arrived at the railway controller's office.
I don't know what was said in there, but there were raised voices at times. They had a shouting match for 10 minutes. Then Henry left, back to the shed.
That night we both returned to the same shed with Thomas, and with one word, he sealed both of their fates. The only thing that Henry said to Thomas was, "Stay away from shed G1. After that Kipper run that fat shit ordered Henry to take, he didn't come back after that, in which I assumed that Henry was sent back to shed 17, sentenced to death from what he knew.
From the interview with Henry, Sir Topham Hatt knew that Henry knew too much about Shed G1. So after Henry's accident with the flying kipper, he sent him back to what Henry had witnessed, and by pure chance, he was sentenced to death.
And everything was sewn up nice and neat for that fat
As for Thomas,
Sadly, he met the same fate as Henry did, except with a different surprise. Who are you?
Me, I am your brother, Thomas Butts.
I have a brother? How can I trust you? I never had a brother. I never heard of you before. What's your name?
My name is Timothy.
Timothy what? Do you have a last name?
Timothy Guts. I am your long-lost brother, Thomas.
But how can I trust you? How do you... Are you really my Thomas? I will tell you everything you need to know. Much like your controller, Thomas, he was cruel to me too, and I took a lot of lives with me to get my work done. Lives? What do you mean lives? I killed a lot of innocent people, Thomas, for my revenge to get. Not accidentally, but I fell off of a bridge, not stopping, with the passenger train behind me, killing innocent lives. But fortunately, the cruel controller of the railway. But I survived. You survived the crash? Yes, but the railroad didn't have enough money to pay for my damages, so I had to be shipped to a different railway. I was shipped to Sodor. But that still doesn't explain how you were my brother. Thomas, we were brothers. Your father and mother had 2 children, but I was kidnapped at birth. What? Yes. I've been through the same biofusion project as you have. If you were switched or kidnapped at birth, then why are you so old? The biofusion process had some difficult changes that I had to go through. There was an aging problem that they couldn't fix, and well, I ended up like this. Oh no. Thomas, listen to me very carefully. So Topham Hatt is not as a nice man as he seems. He has taken all of your friends, Thomas. Everyone. I'm not believing you. I'll tell you along the way. But please, he will come for you last if you don't come with me now. You need to choose, or else he'll find us both, Thomas. You need to trust me. So what will it be? Come with me, or die here? Oh no. Warning, the following video is a parody of Project G1 by Paul's Vids. This video contains gore, strong language, and spoilers for Shed 17. If you are really disturbed by Shed 17, don't like mature language, and or don't want the movie spoiled, don't watch this parody. If you don't like gore, don't watch this video. Thank you, and enjoy.
Previously on Shed G1. Thomas, listen to me very carefully. So Topham Hatt is not as a nice man as he seems. He's taken all of your friends, Thomas. I'm not believing you. But please, it will come for you last if you don't come with me now. You need to choose, or else he'll find us both, Thomas. You need to trust me. So what will it be? Come with me, or die here. Now in Project 17. So, brother, what is your decision?
No. I'm not coming with you. I'm staying here.
Thomas, please. I'm trying to help you. I'm giving you a chance at salvation.
Salvation? What salvation are you offering me?
The salvation to escape this miserable island with a controller that's abusing people, being obliged to work on this railway. Just look at what he's doing. There aren't any more passengers, and now Knapford is just another freight shed.
Thomas, I'm highly suggesting you my final offer. Please, come with me. We can escape that fat bastard. Please.
And my final answer to your offer of salvation is no. You may be my brother, Timothy, but I will tell you this. For whatever reason, the fat controller is taking on my friends. It's probably for a good reason. And the only reason why there's so much freight around here is because of that explosion that happened on the news. And I am working for him. And just because there is a minimum amount of engines that he has taken doesn't mean that it's a bad railway. Now leave.
Fine, Thomas. You can die here. All I was doing was helping you. Goodbye, Thomas. Just hear me. That if you die, I can't help you.
Whatever. Now leave.
I'm sorry, Thomas.
Now to find out what this shed has in store for me. What? The heck? Oh my god. Oh no.
Now it was clear to Thomas. It was clear why so many engines went missing. It was clear why Henry told him to stay out of Shed G1. Because it was the shed where all the biofuse experiments have failed. and ended up being kept a short-lived secret for so long.
Now I get it. Timothy was right. I was wrong. I should have gone with him. And now, because of me, I am only left. Now everyone else is gone. Because of me. But why me? I was the only innocent one.
Aside from Shed G1, Thomas would learn more than just failed biofusion experiments.
A secret track. What could this lead to? Shed 17. But this shed is off limits. Why? A tank? What could be in this tank?
Aside from Shed G1, Thomas would also know the truth of Shed 17. He wouldn't only figure out who he was, but also who he wasn't.
What is... No! No! There's more of me? Forgive me.
After everyone was gone, including young Thomas Gertz from the island of Sodor, it was all left to rot. All hope was lost, including the Gertzes, who had to suffer another loss of their son with their second try of bringing him back from the dead. Until now.
I think this is the place, John.
Yeah, and I know that, Terry. Come on. What matter?
It's clear.
This shed is big. Come on, let's find him. Oh, Jesus Christ! What happened?
This is what happens when you work with, I don't even know what happened myself, but let's just get him out of here. Can you explain to me what the purpose of all this is? It's our destiny, John.
What destiny?
The destiny of saving a railroad, Terry. Now come on, help me get him out of here. We need to do this fast.
All right.
After the following incident from Soda Island, with the band Biofusion Projects that were later banned in 1983, Thomas is now in a specialist unit where he's currently undergone at least 23 reconstructive operations from his last encounter with Shed 17, which was permanently off limits.
But the reconstructive unit wasn't back on Sodor. It was now in the UK.
So, you probably all remember me. My name is Keith, and now I moved to the UK, I guess. But instead of being a train driver, I'm now a station manager. You could clearly see the badge on my head. And now I don't work on Sodor anymore. Now I work in the UK, on a different railway.
After all of the past incidents that have been going on in Sodor, we now move to a different location on a different island, the UK. The UK is one of the most popular places in the world, besides for its fame.
So, yes, hello, I'm Paul, and this is Chet. Put that thing down, God! What? What? Nothing. Let's just get back to the interview. So, yes, we are both secret agents for the new biofusion facility. Yep, and everything you see here is classified.
But with the new biofusion in the UK, this new Sodor research facility is not the same as it was on Sodor.
Honestly, with the new biofusion facility, I thought everything would just go downhill again. But surprisingly, it wouldn't. It didn't. I mean, now I have a stuttering problem.
With a different location, but also with the new Sodor research facility, came the location of where Thomas would have been reborn.
We were the two that found Thomas back on Sodor Island in Shed 17, where it was a really grisly sight.
And when we found young Thomas Guts, we came back here to work on more reconstructive options. Because we wanted him to have a second chance at life. Because why not?
On February 17th, 2017, the doors of the new Sodor research facility were opened with their new original project.
You should have seen the crowd that was there. We even found this other engine where he claimed to...
Yeah, he claimed to be Thomas's brother. His name is Timothy, but we had no idea about this. To be honest, with all the incidents going around on Sodor, I don't think anyone heard about this Timothy person, because everyone else didn't decide to care, because that wasn't really the main problem. Well, Timothy wasn't a problem at all, because we didn't know anything about him. Until that Friday.
The morning of Friday, February 17th, 2017. With the new Sodor Research's doors open, they also revealed to the public Thomas the Tank Engine, with the remastered design. You! Thomas, you're here.
Timothy. I'm so sorry about what I thought earlier.
At least we are together once more. Yes.
To me, besides a brotherly reunion, it was more of a familiar feeling you have. Like, I knew this already happened before.
But while other parties were around to hear the news, there were some that really didn't approve at all.
Of course, I knew right away that one of those parties would be involved with that fat shit.
We have heard a lot about this figuration that's been going on. Yeah, and that's only been happening ever since Sir Topham Hatt himself has been walked into the building, who's been working on some work papers to fill out, only to become the president of
soda research facility, if you can understand what I mean. He literally walked into the office and asked to become the president with all these new papers that he found out. But really, those are just ones that he made themselves, faking them into thinking that they were actual soda research papers. But luckily, he didn't make the cut, and I, for one, was glad myself. We were both called into the office just to kick him out. Apparently, he was faking to become the president of Soda Research. Last night, we just had to throw him out. No, sir, please, you have to understand. Sir, we understand completely well. But you have to understand that we at Soda Research here take this seriously. But you have to understand. Sir, just shut up. No, you don't Fine. If you want to play the hard way, then fine. I'll play the hard way with you. Right now. The only reason why Sir Topham Hatt's plan had failed to become the new Soda Research Facility president it was because there already was a president. After Thomas was revealed from Soda Research Facility, his father and mother, Hans Goetz and Vanilla Goetz, took over as president and vice president of Soda Research Facility. And apparently we already know the cause of why Sir Topham Hatt wanted to participate in this, but not really legalizing the production any further. The fuck went in there for the same reason, for another load of money. You could see the look on his face if I was standing right in front of him right now. No one can ever trust him. But now that Thomas was revealed to the public, along with the revival of his brother Timothy, what would this mean for the future of Soda Research Facility? Now that Professor, or I should say, President of Soda Research Hans Goetz and Vanilla Goetz became President and Vice President of Soda Research, they made a new legalizing policy and hired professional scientists to be suggested to only be left with the biofusion work. And everything else just went well. Oh, and also, some other engines were revived as well. It was a miracle come true when I heard the news. What I was even more surprised about is that there was even a scientist that was biofused, only to be the leader of the Biofusion Project Company that also worked with the Soda Facility Research. Before Soda Research Facility started taking any requests from anyone from the public to become biofused to work on the railway, one of the scientists from the Soda Research Facility, named Diesel, became the leader of the Biofusion Project for Soda Research Facilities. Almost all the accidents from Soda that have been happening, the engines that were involved were no longer dead. I was really happy to see all the news. I was really glad that everyone from Soda was back. After the president and vice president of Soda Research, both the parents of young Thomas Goetz, had brought all the other engines from the past incidents of Soda Research back to life, they decided to keep an eye on them with high security systems with the new roundhouse that also had a very well-working turntable that could allow freight trains and passenger trains and specials to come by if no one else was around. When I took a good look at it, they told me it still had to be manually operated by a regular turntable worker. Because of this great new change within the Soda Research Facility, everything was great in the UK. There were more passengers. There was more work. And well, the economy boomed. And most important of all, a lot of people were happy. And then this famous boxing club championship came to town. And then before you knew it, the president of Soda Research agreed to allow biofusion sports with the new government contracts that allowed the biofusion processes to happen. Well, Jerry, I'm ready for this fight. What about you? Oh, yes, I am, Bob. Let's get into it. I never really watch any sports because that's not really my hobby. But a boxing club for biofused engines? That is what I had to see. The scientists from the Biofusion group promised to make sporting equipment for the Biofusion sports, as well as different steam bodies or diesel bodies for the engines that they wanted to be biofused into. There's like a number of those things. Right, John? Exactly, Terry. Alright, here is the fight of the night. In the right corner, we have Duck Lonabanti from the Great Western Railway. And in the left corner, we have Oliver Gertrude. Now, since this is one of the very first biofusion sports, we shall display the rules very quickly. If any engine is knocked off of the tracks, they win the game. If the timer runs out in the third quarter, then there will be a tiebreaker for the next match. And within each match that will start up, we have to give our engine some time to transform. And what does that mean exactly? Well, since these new bodies for engines that are biofused are ready for any sort of sport, thanks to our good friend at Sordor Research, we need them to have time to prepare, as you can already see it in action. Alright, let's get ready to fight! And here we go! I guess it was fair to say that with the new changes of the new Sordor Research and moving to a new country, I guess my life just got better after that.
But, as well as the saying goes, good things were never meant to last, which is always true, is what happened the very next day of Sordor Research Facility.
The very next day, there was like a big crowd of protesters holding signs like Justice for Thomas and Free the Engines. We had no idea what they were talking about until we realized that we've been framed for something that we know we don't do here. Justice for Thomas! To me, I had no idea either until I realized what the fuck had done next. Since his plan didn't work out as expected to be the new research president of Sordor Research, he got revenge. What did he do exactly? I guess he tricked into everyone to thinking that what Sordor Research was doing were harming engines, which they wouldn't. He practically made a campaign to shut it down.
So Topham Hatt was planning to get revenge against the Sordor Research Facility, but he would take one more step further than anyone else would.
After 4 whole hours, after trying to calm down the situation with the crowd, Sir Topham Hatt came back in, but this time with the military. He demanded to speak with our biofusion leader to discuss about the incident. We asked him what the inconvenience was, and he reported that multiple people have been saying that biofusion has been illegal for 30 years. They wish to have it banned again. We told them that we had a new legalized policy, but he had some more files with him deducting those legal policies. It was just unbelievable.
By pure chance, Sir Topham Hatt had reported that if Sordor Research didn't do anything about the situation, then they would have the company shut down, and if anything or anyone else decided to refuse, then they would take it further.
We had no idea what he meant by taking it further, but after he left, we decided to have a big meeting with the Biofusion Project group and discuss about what we would do. I really didn't want to get involved anymore because I knew I've experienced too much from the last time, but I have to do what I have to do if I don't want young Thomas Gates to die.
We thought that Diesel would be there at the meeting, but he wasn't. He wasn't in the shed. We didn't know why until we checked the computer files. We then brought the files to the meeting room to check in with everyone. But when we got there, we found everyone watching a video, horrified looks on their faces. We didn't know what they were frightened about until we saw it. Apparently Diesel had some backstory with Sir Topham Hatt and must have overheard the meeting. The video that he sent was a death threat. It was too late for us. He already made the decision for us on purpose. We were going to war. Apparently Diesel known Sir Topham Hatt for a long time and wanted to get revenge on him, and so he set the death threat to the campaign he made to stop the Biofusion Company. We know we're not supposed to show footage like this, but here is the video.
It's all your fault. You made them laugh. We are revolutionary.
After that video was shown on the news, and after that Thatch received it, it was all over. We knew that now the UK would be in a great, great peril of despair. Soon Sir Topham Hatt had hired the military with lots and lots of men on his side, and now everyone knew within the Sodor Research Facility that Sir Topham Hatt would no longer be taking it easy as he did before. There was also more stuff on the news after that Bertha incident had happened, where that company called Spottiswoode and Company, the owner of Bertha, shut down. The military moved in as its stage of plan with the Biofusion War. The president and vice president, both of Thomas's parents, Hans Goetz and Vanilla Goetz, decided to investigate, but with some backup. We really advised them they couldn't, or they shouldn't, because it was risking their lives, even after they moved out. But they wouldn't give up, and they did, which is where they sadly met their fate. For the vice president and president of Sodor Research, both of Thomas's parents met their fate for what Sir Topham Hatt had planned all along. When we walked in, we took some amateur footage, but what we saw in there, the thing that was taking both of their lives, we would not forget. It just came out of that wall, and it was squeezing the both of them to death. We tried to help them, but it was too late. Their bodies were already crushed. After it screamed so loud, it brought the whole building to pieces. Luckily, we got out just in time. Except, we couldn't help Thomas's parents. But, after it was all recorded on the news, we were told to help clean up the mess. What I saw on the news was truly devastating and horrifying. Not only made things much worse with his own creation, but he took the lives of both Thomas and Timothy Goetz's parents, which are currently, was, the president and vice president of Sodor Research Facility. The news that was brought to Thomas and Timothy Goetz with the deaths of both their parents was truly devastating, and that left them, for the both of Thomas and Timothy, to talk alone. Why would he do this? What have they ever done to them? I was only innocent. Why? Thomas, I told you this earlier.
Sir Topham Hatt is not a nice man. He's the reason why he took all your friends. And now he's the reason why he took your parents' lives. The both of our parents, Thomas. Why? Thomas, Sir Topham Hatt was not a nice man to begin with. He was born into money, into greed. He doesn't even know how to run a railway. All he wanted was money. And when he wanted to take a violent takeover, he just saw it as another excuse. Another excuse to get more rich. But when he was starting to take control over us, he thought we were getting in the way. But it was really his fault, Thomas. We are now the only two living members of our own family, Thomas. We have to do something about this. You might be very young, but you have a very, very old mind. But what does that mean? You remember a lot of things, Thomas. And with the both of them gone, we have no supervision. So if we are going to die in this war, let us remember each other as heroes. Timothy, we are not just going to war for the sake of it. We are going to war to avenge my parents for what the Fat Controller has done to them. Oh, come on. We have to go. That's the spirit, Thomas. This was just really, really heartbreaking to me. But now that Thomas is going to war, I'm fearing for him and his only sibling, Timothy. He's a young engine who has experienced this much negativity in his life. And well, I don't want this to be the last of it that gets to him. After the funeral, we had to get in our plan of action. Sir Topham Hatt pulled the last straw. If he took lives of two innocent young biofused children, then we were going to take his life himself. If the military had a secret weapon of their own for that fat bastard, then we would make one of our own ourselves. And we did. Right, John? Not right now, Terry. I need a moment of silence.
That night when they started the project, we went to destroy their quote-unquote secret weapon. So I went up to that same base where I cleaned up the mess. But what I didn't know was that the military was coming there as well, under a secret attack.
That same night in the sheds, there was an emergency meeting called for all the engines to stay inside the sheds, except one wasn't so lucky after all. What's happening? Guys, what's going on? Thomas, we hate to break it to you, but it's a war. What?
Thomas, we really didn't want to tell you about this, because you're too young to understand.
I'm clearly capable enough to listen.
Well, yes, but we wouldn't think you'd take it seriously.
Well, I'm more frightened than being immature, Henry. Well, we have to stay in here until it passes off.
Wait! Where's Timothy?
Timothy? Oh, no!
I've got to get back. I've got to get back. Got to get Thomas. Freeze! I want to see both your fireman and your driver now.
Alright, I see her. She's in the crowd.
I won't. I said, let me see both your fireman and your driverman step out of the cab now.
Paul,
She isn't taking it easy. What will we do? This demand is from Thomas. We must fire at will if she shows no mercy. Right!
Step out of the... What the... You fool. I don't have either a fireman or a driver because I am undead.
He's showing no mercy! Fire!
You fools can never kill me because I am immortal.
It's no use! Take cover! Get down! Alright, boys. Aim. Fire!
I don't walk away.
Paul, she's backfiring at us. What do we do? Our only option left. Bomber. With everyone you got. Right on it, Paul.
What was that? I don't know. Oh God, Timothy, he's still out there. He could be killed. I gotta go. Thomas, don't! You'll be killed! Thomas, you're going into a big mistake. I don't care, James. I don't want any more of my family members to be dead.
Alright. That went great. Let's head back. Wait. They're still there. What? Yes, the military's still there. Oh, God. Jeez Louisa, stay there.
Oh, God. No! Timothy! Timothy, please, speak to me. Thomas, I was so worried. Timothy, what happened? I was coming home to the sheds, and Diesel rolled in. Oh no, Sir Topham Hatt took him too. I had no choice, Thomas. I'm sorry. Timothy, you can't die. You're a ghost. Thomas, I'm afraid it doesn't work like that. What do you mean? I am a spirit, but spirits can still be killed. Timothy, no. Please, you're my only sibling that I have left. Don't go. Please do not die on me. Thomas, I'm sorry. But my final times are up. Win this war for me, Thomas. Win it for Mom and Dad. Win it for all of us. Timothy? Timothy, please! Timothy! No! No, I can't cry again. I will win this war for you, Timothy. I'll make everyone in my family proud. I will, Timothy. I will.
Stop right there.
You!
Look at yourself. You stupid young little brat. You and your family was the reason why you... Why do I care about explaining? I want you to die already.
Me? I'm only a child. You wouldn't kill a child, will you? Would you? You wouldn't even care about any of my friends or me or my family anymore because you're too greedy to care. All you want is money, money, money. And you know what? You just need to die yourself.
Look at that. Trying to act all tough. Huh. You can't even make the best combats yourself. I might as well kill you right here.
Stand back! Incoming!
What? What's behind? Oh my God! Gordon's alive! Gordon? Well, where's Gordon? Where is he? No! Oh! Ah! Come on! We gotta get out of here! Don't kill him! Kill that steam train! Oh no! We gotta go! Keep firing, men! Come on, Gordon. We can do this. If you can get them, you'll save this. You'll save us.
After the war, the city was left in complete rubble.
After that war happened, the news peoples were here in an instant. But after a week after that war, you should have seen it. Almost the whole city of the UK was just left in rubble. We were told to close gates and shut down all businesses and start cleaning up the mess. It took us almost a year. John had to go in and help clean the mess too. I saw him in like a yellow jumpsuit. Yeah, it was really, really horrifying. A lot of people died, as well as Gordon and Percy did, since Percy was just being used for self-defense. But sadly, Gordon met the same fate as well. Fortunately, Sir Totten Hat met the same fate as well. Along with the military too.
So Topham Hatt was found dead in the rubble, as well as with every other man that was involved in the war. The entire mess that had to be cleaned up took about almost a year. As for Thomas and the rest of his friends, sadly, Thomas lost his entire family, his parents, and his brother. After the war, after 2 years, Sordo Research was rebuilt with a new legalized policy, with the right people to take in charge of it. There are now biofusion sports all across the world and the nation, and biofusion are now used as also death penalties or any other penalties for any other laws in any other countries. And well, that, my friends, is the story, the true story of Thomas the Tank Engine and his friends.